Once a ninja masters the power of the 8 inner gates, it puts their power on a completely different tier, with the 8th gate increasing their power 100 times their base. However, such power can't be mastered through sheer hard work alone, with a genius like Kakashi only being able to open up the very first gate. So with that being said, just what would happen if Naruto Uzumaki mastered this power? How different would the Naruto story be? Would things end up for better or would they end up worse? Well, in this edition of Naruto What If, we're gonna take a look at just that. Like always, in order for this to happen, we must first establish a trigger point. In my opinion, the best time for this to occur would be during the 3 months between the Sasuke retrieval arc and the chapter where Naruto leaves to go train with Jiraiya. Naruto would stumble across Team Gai as they train, and after sparring with Team Gai, Naruto would have to do well enough for Gai to consider training him. Gai would know that Naruto would be facing the Akatsuki, and at some point he'd be facing the Orochimaru. Gai would view this as an opportunity to pass on his youthful will of fire to another ninja besides Rock Lee, which would in turn reinvigorate his youthful flame that he stated in chapter 238 was already in the process of being behind him. Rock Lee learned the first 5 inner gates in under a year of training, so given the unorthodox ninja that Naruto is, it's not crazy to think that in the 3 months that passed, that Naruto would be able to learn the first gate and then be close to unlocking the second gate. At 1 year, Rock Lee mastered 1 gate every 2.5 months, give or take a few weeks. So 2 gates isn't too crazy for Naruto to unlock at this point, and this would also mean that Naruto learns the front lotus before he goes to train with Jiraiya. On top of his normal training with Jiraiya, Naruto would continue to train himself during the time skip, and at a minimum he would progress to the 5th gate, but given how wacky of a character Naruto is, I could see him matching Rock Lee's progress and mastering the 6th gate as well. Part of the reasoning for this is that after Naruto loses control and attacks Jiraiya, while he's in his four-tailed state, Naruto would be more driven to continue learning the inner gates, which he knew for certain would be able to give him the power boost that he would try to use to bring Sasuke back to the village. The belt test of Kakashi versus Naruto and Sakura would go a lot differently, with Kakashi being forced to use more of his more powerful jutsu, and Naruto eventually scheming with Sakura in order to take those bells. Nothing really changes until we get to the Kazekage rescue arc. Upon seeing Gaara's dead body, the QB chakra caused Naruto's eyes to change color before he unconsciously opened the 3rd gate and slammed the QB chakra infused Rasengan into Deidara while he's in the 3rd gate. Naruto would then be fast enough to smash Sasuke's Hiraku puppet before Deidara's dead body even hit the ground. Upon retrieving Gaara's dead body, Kakashi would order Sakura to retreat with Naruto in order to heal him from the wear and tear that the 3rd gate caused on his body. As Sakura healed Naruto, Kakashi and Chiyo would battle Sasori. If by some reason the battle reaches the point of Sasori using 100 puppets, Naruto would join the battle with Sakura and Team 7 will win with ease, especially if Naruto uses the 6th gate and blows away many of the puppets using the Morning Peacock Jutsu. With Sasori and Deidara dead, I believe Chiyo will give her life to revive Gaara, and from here I don't see much happening until we get to the Tenchi Bridge arc. There will be no real intel on where Orochimaru's spy was going to be, which means Danzo has no chance to put Sai on Team 7, both to contact Orochimaru as well as to attempt to kill Sasuke. This means that Tsunade will be able to place Yamato on Team 7. Nothing really changes in the months ahead, however there are some small changes. Asuma was still going to die when he fights Hidan, and Naruto likely combines the inner gates with his Rasen Shuriken when he defeats Kakuzu, only this time Naruto would actually kill Kakuzu. After Sasuke kills Orochimaru and forms Team Taka, the Itachi pursuit team will still be formed, and nothing changes until after the battle of Itachi versus Sasuke, with Naruto likely opening the inner gates to arrive just moments after Obito takes Sasuke to his hideout. Once Jiraiya dies, Naruto will be forced to choose. Does he learn Sage Mode or does he seek to master the 8 inner gates? In my opinion, the second option isn't a choice right now. We don't know the exact number, but it did take Rock Lee at least from Naruto's wedding to the start of the Boruto era in order to master the inner gates. So in short, this would be impossible for Naruto, which means that Naruto will be forced to learn Sage Mode. However, just as he toyed around with using the Rasen Shuriken in Sage Mode, I believe Naruto will test out various ways of using the inner gates in conjunction with Sage Mode. Now, obviously, this is going to come with some risks. No QB power in order to repair the damage, cause him opening up gates 4 through 6, and there's an even bigger risk I haven't addressed. Naruto's body could very well reach its near breaking point from both attempting to control the high volume of chakra and nature energy combination on top of the sheer power that his body would be pumping out. So in short, Naruto could run into the situation where he pumps out so much power that his body begins to literally break down on him. I believe in response, Naruto would save the combination of Sage Mode and the inner gates as a very last resort, likely open up the inner gates after he's already entered into Sage mode. This is where another major change would occur. Naruto versus the 6 paths of pain would turn out much the same, though if he blindly goes forward using the combination of the 8 inner gates and Sage mode, he very likely would be able to end the fight in one attack like he boasted at the very beginning of the fight right before he threw his Rasen Shuriken. In my opinion, this won't actually happen, but instead, Naruto would save that combination as a literal last resort. After the Naraka path revised the Preta path, Naruto will still trick the Deva path with his shadow clone transforming at the very last minute, but this is where that major change occurs. In Naruto chapter 433, Naruto stated that he needed to take down the Deva path at all costs and said so with urgency, and this version of Naruto will be able to do so. In the split second before the power of the Deva path actually returns, Naruto plays ultimate trump card, stacking the 6th gate on top of his Sage mode. He'd speed blitz the Deva path and the remaining 6 path of pain. Anyone doubting it just needs to remember this much: Gai and only the 6th gate shook an entire island. So what the hell do you think Naruto's gonna do when he's already in Sage mode and he stacks the 6th gate on top of it? Now this is where another major change would occur. Naruto never would have been stabbed by the chakra rods, which means he wouldn't know right away to reverse track pain using the chakra receivers. However, I still think he would learn the truth about how the chakra rods work, and I'll explain to you why. So in Naruto chapter 425, Shizune figured out how the chakra receivers work, and in chapter 428, Ino and her father were present when Shizune broke down how the chakra rods are used to control the dead bodies of the 6 paths of pain. Even if Ino has a huge blonde moment and forgets everything, Katsuyu will still be there and she'll be able to relay any of that information. This means that the end of the pain arc concludes much of the same. However, there's another major change here. Hinata would never confess her love to Naruto, and by the time that Naruto is celebrated as a hero in front of the village, Naruto wouldn't know that Minato was actually his father, and he wouldn't know that Tobi was the one who was behind the Nine Tails incident. From here, the story continues much the same. However, there are some major changes. Sai would never be there to tell Sakura about Naruto's feelings for her in chapter 458, and he would never be able to tell her how the promise of bringing Sasuke back to Konoha was a burden to Naruto. In this new timeline, Shikamaru would do exactly as he planned to do, which is tell Sakura about Danzo's orders to have Sasuke killed now that he's being listed as an Akatsuki member, and about the 5 Kage summit that Danzo's been taken to. Sakura's false confession arguably doesn't happen in this timeline, since she doesn't realize just how much she hurt Naruto, and Sakura would still go on to fail to kill Sasuke. I still see Naruto stepping in at the last minute to save Sakura, leaving his brief skirmish with Sasuke more resolved than ever before to master the QB chakra. However, it should be noted that because Sai wouldn't have talked to Kakashi, there is the possibility that Kakashi never shows up in time to fight Sasuke, which means there's a good possibility that Sasuke actually kills Sakura. But I'll leave that to you guys to discuss whether or not you think that happens. Now, this is going to be where a major change would occur after the fight with Naruto and Sasuke during the 5 Kage summit. So when Naruto goes to master the QB chakra, Naruto would have both of the chakras of his parents inside of him once he takes the seal off of Kurama, and this opens up the door for Naruto potentially meeting both of his parents and hearing from both of them about the events of the night that he was born when the QB attacked the Hidden Leaf Village. Where the next major change occurs is the battle with Kisame. Given Naruto would have the QB's chakra, this opens up the door for offsetting any potential drawbacks that comes from opening up inner gates 4 through 6, which tear away at the muscles of the body. Kisame stands no chance with KCM Naruto potentially stacking the inner gates on top of his KCM form, which means he's killed before he can even attempt to send the intel that he gathered to Obito and the Akatsuki. From here, the war arc changes drastically at this point. Given that Naruto, as the war progressed, drastically got better with chakra control, I could see Naruto eventually learning to control the enormous volume of chakra that would come from stacking the inner gates on top of his KCM, and eventually KCM 2 when Naruto eventually gets Kurama to work alongside him. And it should be noted that KCM 2 Naruto using the 8 inner gates is going to be Naruto at its deadliest. This means that the battles with Naruto and Obito go a lot smoother, and it's very likely that Naruto easily overpowers White Mask Obito, and if for some reason Obito survived the battle to the point where Gai and Kakashi arrived as backup, Naruto would utterly destroy Obito, leaving Kakashi to discover that Tobi was actually Obito after Naruto slams his Rasengan into Obito's face and blows off his head in the process. With Obito now dead, Madara would likely kill the 5 Kage out of sheer rage and rush to the battlefield. However, KCM 2 Naruto with the 6th gate gate stacked on top of it would be more than enough to dish out blows powerful enough on Madara for Madara to be sealed away. This means that the war ends a lot sooner. Zetsu is going to be tracked down by Naruto and killed, and Sasuke is easily beaten unconscious by Naruto. Before Orochimaru releases the Edo Tensei, Minato would give Naruto the remaining half of the Kyuubi chakra, just as he implied he would do in chapter 627. This means that Kaguya would never be revived, and Naruto ends the war having both halves of the Kyuubi chakra as well as mastery of the first 6 inner gates. You would also have 5 new 5 Kage selected in the wake of the death of the 5 Kage, and Sasuke likely spends the rest of his life in prison, or at the very least he spends a very lengthy period in time in the actual prison. So that's gonna be it for this what if, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, but as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.